2026 Missouri DMV HazMat endorsement, test 130 questions and complete answers. Question 1. If inhalation hazard appears on a shipping paper, the shipper should provide which placard? Option A, liquid. Option B, poison gas or poison inhalation hazard. Option C, reportable quantity. The correct answer is option B, poison gas or poison inhalation hazard. Explanation. If the words inhalation hazard appear on the shipping paper or package, you must display the poison inhalation hazard or poison gas placards as appropriate. Question 2. When Division 1.3 materials are being transported, the floor liner should be option A, made from non-ferrous materials. Option B, metallic. Option C, attached loosely. The correct answer is option A, made from non-ferrous materials. Explanation. You should use a floor lining when transporting Division 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 materials. The floors must be tight, and the liner must be made from either non-metallic material or non-ferrous metal. Non-ferrous metals are any metals that do not contain iron or iron alloys. Question 3. Shipper's package in order to blank hazardous materials. Option A, contain. Option B, release. Option C, insulate. The correct answer is option A, contain. Explanation. Shippers package hazardous materials in a way that is meant to completely contain the materials. Vehicles should be placarded to communicate the risk of the cargo. Question 4. Many products classed as poison are also option A, radioactive. Option B, flammable. Option C, gases. The correct answer is option B, flammable. Explanation. Many hazardous materials classified as poisonous are also flammable. Question 5. Unless the package is clearly unsafe, a driver needs blank to accept a package. Option A, the shipper's certification. Option B, a notarized statement. Option C, a verbal agreement. The correct answer is option A, the shipper's certification. Explanation. When a shipper packages hazardous materials, they certify that the package has been prepared according to Hazardous Materials Regulations HMR. Unless a package is clearly unsafe or non-complying with HMR, you may accept the shipper's certification concerning the proper packaging of a material. Question 6. In addition to reading the manual, the best way to learn about transporting hazardous materials is to option A, talk to other HazMat drivers. Option B, attend hazardous materials training courses. Option C, follow your instincts. The correct answer is option B, attend hazardous materials training courses. Explanation. While the manual includes all of the information required to pass the hazardous materials knowledge test, you should consider reading the manual as only the first step to learning about the topic. You can learn more by reading and understanding the federal and state rules about the transportation of hazardous materials, as well as by attending hazardous materials training courses. Question 7. If a shipping paper describes both hazardous and non-hazardous materials, the hazardous materials may need to be option A, highlighted in a contrasting color. Option B, circled by a pen or marker. Option C, unmarked. The correct answer is option A, highlighted in a contrasting color. Explanation. If a shipping paper describes both hazardous and non-hazardous materials, the hazardous materials must be distinguished in one of three ways. They must be entered first on the shipping paper, highlighted in a contrasting color, or properly marked with an X in a column titled HM. Question 8. To transport hazardous materials, what does a driver need? Option A, a CDL only. Option B, a CDL with a hazardous materials endorsement. Option C, a CDL with a tank endorsement. Option D, a CDL with a cargo endorsement. The correct answer is option B, a CDL with a hazardous materials endorsement. Explanation. You must have a CDL with a hazardous materials endorsement to to drive a vehicle of any size that is used for transporting hazardous materials. Question 9. If transporting hazardous materials, a shipper should warn others by Option A, posting hazmat placards on their truck. Option B, putting flashing lights on their truck. Option C, sounding a siren. The correct answer is option A, posting hazmat placards on their truck. Explanation. Shippers of certain kinds of hazardous materials are required to display diamond-shaped warning signs, known as placards, on any transporting vehicles. Shippers are required to provide applicable placards, labels, shipping papers, and emergency response information. Question 10. If a package of hazardous materials is not large enough to hold a label, it should be labeled Option A, with a barcode. Option B, with a tag. Option C, by being placed in a certain part of the trailer. The correct answer is option B, with a tag. Explanation. If a hazardous materials label will not fit onto a package, it may be placed on a tag that is securely attached to the package. Question 11. If your engine runs a pump used during delivery of compressed gas, you should turn off the engine. Option A, while unhooking the hoses. Option B, after unhooking the hoses. Option C, before unhooking the hoses. The correct answer is option C, before unhooking the hoses. Explanation. Unless your engine runs a pump for product transfer, turn it off when loading or unloading a compressed gas tank. If you do use your engine to run a pump, you should turn the engine off after the product transfer, but before unhooking the hoses. Question 12. A clue that your shipment contains hazardous materials is that Option A, the shipper is in the business of firework or munition dealing. Option B, the last shipment you picked up was labeled as hazardous. Option C, the packaging looks damaged. The correct answer is option A. The shipper is in the business of firework or munition dealing. Explanation. One clue that a shipment may contain hazardous materials is that the shipper is in a line of business that involves such materials. Examples include paint dealers, chemical suppliers, scientific supply houses, pest control businesses, agricultural supply firms, and dealers in explosives, munitions, or fireworks. Question 13. Placards showing the type of hazardous materials in a vehicle are usually which shape? Option A, a tall rectangle. Option B, a triangle. Option C, a diamond. The correct answer is option C, a diamond. Explanation. In general, vehicles carrying hazardous materials are required to display diamond-shaped warning signs on all four sides. These warning signs are called placards. Question 14 blank is responsible for properly labeling hazardous materials. Option A, the shipper. Option B, the loader. Option C, the driver. The correct answer is option A, the shipper. Explanation. The shipper of hazardous materials is responsible for packaging, marking, and labeling the materials properly. It is a good idea for the driver to ensure the materials are properly labeled. Question 15. An improperly placarded vehicle. Option A may never be moved. Option B may only be moved in an emergency. Option C may be driven if the cargo is not radioactive. The correct answer is option B, may only be moved in an emergency. Explanation. A vehicle that lacks the proper placards for any hazardous materials on board may not be driven, except as necessary to protect life and property in an emergency. Question 16. A manifest for transporting hazardous waste. Option A must be signed by hand. Option B must be sent electronically. Option C must be attached to the outside of the trailer. The correct answer is option A, must be signed by hand. Explanation. If you are transporting hazardous waste, you must carry with you a uniform hazardous waste manifest. The manifest must be signed by hand. Question 17. To transport hazardous materials, a driver needs option A, only a CDL. Option B, a CDL with hazardous materials endorsement. Option C, a CDL with a tank endorsement. The correct answer is option B, a CDL with hazardous materials endorsement. Explanation. To drive a vehicle of any size that is used to transport hazardous materials, you must have a CDL with a hazardous materials endorsement. Question 18. A hazardous materials identification number should appear. Option A, on the transporting vehicle's bumper. Option B, on the materials packaging. Option C, on a sticker near the materials shipping container. The correct answer is option B, on the materials packaging. Explanation. A materials ID number must appear on its accompanying shipping paper as well as on its packaging. It also must appear on cargo tanks and other bulk packaging. Question 19. A materials hazard class reflects option A, the risks associated with the material. Option B, how quickly the material must reach its destination. Option C, how much the material weighs. The correct answer is option A, the risks associated with the material. Explanation. A hazardous material will be placed into one of 9 classes to explain the type of risks associated with the material. Question 20. A driver should ensure that option A, the shipping paper matches the markings and labels on packages. Option B, the shipping paper is written in code. Option C, all packages are labeled as poison. The correct answer is option A. The shipping paper matches the markings and labels on packages. Explanation. It is always a good idea to compare package markings and labels to accompanying shipping papers. Always make sure the shipper has displayed the correct basic description on the shipping paper and has provided the proper labels on the packages. Question 21. Who must label hazardous materials? Option A, the shipper. Option B, the loader. Option C, the driver. The correct answer is option A, the shipper. Explanation. The shipper of hazardous materials is responsible for packaging, marking, and labeling the materials. They must supply the warning placards. Question 22. Shipping papers should be option A, hidden from view. Option B, placed in the glove box. Option C, easily seen by anyone entering the cab. The correct answer is option C, easily seen by anyone entering the cab. Explanation. When transporting hazardous materials, shipping papers should be kept in a pouch in the driver's side door or in another location where the driver is able to easily reach them while their seat belt is fastened. The papers must be easily visible to anyone who is entering the cab. Question 23. If a package of explosives has an oily stain or shows dampness, the driver should option A, continue to transport the load. Option B, decline transporting the load. Option C, use towels to absorb the liquid. The correct answer is option B, decline transporting the load. Explanation. You should never transport damaged packages of explosives. Do not accept a package that seems damp or has an oily stain. Question 24. When applying for an original or renewed HazMat endorsement, you must undergo a background check through which agency? Option A, the Transportation Security Administration. Option B, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Option C, the Department of Energy. The correct answer is option A, the Transportation Security Administration. Explanation. When applying for an original or renewed HazMat endorsement, you must undergo a federal security threat assessment done by the Transportation Security Administration (TSA). Question 25. Class 1, Class 2.1, and Class 3 materials should not be placed in a trailer with option A, a heater, option B, an air conditioner, option C, other items. The correct answer is option A, a heater. Explanation. The use of cargo heaters is not always permitted. When transporting materials that are categorized as Class 1 explosives, Class 2.1 flammable gases, or Class 3 flammable liquids, the use of heaters in the same space is generally prohibited. Question 26. A shipping paper, option A, is not needed for most shipments of hazardous materials. Option B is required for all shipments of hazardous materials. Option C can be kept in a digital file. The correct answer is option B, is required for all shipments of hazardous materials. Explanation. Shippers of hazardous materials are required to provide proper shipping papers to communicate the risks of the materials. Question 27. When traveling with Division 1.1 explosives, you may park no closer than blank from the nearest building. Option A, 10 feet. Option B, 50 feet. Option C, 300 feet. The correct answer is option C, 300 feet. Explanation. When carrying Division 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 explosives, you should not park within 300 feet of a bridge, tunnel, or building, unless you are parking for a short period of time while performing an operational necessity, like refueling. Question 28. If a shipping paper describes both hazardous and non-hazardous materials. Option A, the hazardous materials must be listed first. Option B, the hazardous materials must be written larger. Option C, the hazardous materials must be listed in red ink. The correct answer is option A. The hazardous materials must be listed first. Explanation. If a shipping paper lists both hazardous and non-hazardous materials, the hazardous materials must be entered first. Question 29. Load hazardous materials. Option A, near heat sources. Option B, away from heat sources. Option C, away from shadows. The correct answer is option B, away from heat sources. Explanation. Always load hazardous materials away from heat sources. Be aware of regulations on explosive or flammable materials that prohibit them from being loaded in cargo spaces with heaters. Question 30. In general, before loading or unloading any flammable liquids, an engine should be option A, turned off. Option B, revved up. Option C, turned on. The correct answer is option A, turned off. Explanation. Before loading or unloading the tank with flammable liquids, you should turn off the engine unless running the engine is necessary to operate a pump. Ground the tank before opening the filling hole and maintain the ground until after closing the filling hole.